But hell, especially down, somebody said Lloyd, but look down there in New Orleans, the Neville brothers, Aaron Neville and all those are black Native Americans, guys. The Neville brothers, all of those dudes.
Going on?
I'm saying in 1492, any power structure would have been
no, 1600s, colonies.
Yeah, I'm under the impression that would have been Negro.
Still Negro power a little bit.
No, I'm saying majority Negro.
Because listen, let's go back to 1492. We both agreed that these people came over because they was possibly ran out, correct? Is that what we was agreeing on or no?
Yeah, we're agreeing on something occurred to compel niggas to leave.
Okay. And do you think it was an invasion or you think it was something else?
I think I don't know. I don't know what to think about I don't know what to think about the situations that could have arose to compel niggas.
I mean, it could be a combination of shit, right? It could be a combination of shit.
Right. Niggas probably been over there getting all the bitches or something. You just never know.
Right. And when we say Europe, it may have just been one particular area of Europe, which those one particular area of people would have left. And then other places hit later on, and then those people would have left, creating waves of people coming over here. Correct?
Right.
Is that what we look like? What's going on leading up to the 1600s? These particular waves,
possibly.
And let's think about it. Let's break it down. And if these people were still in control when they was leaving, because they leaving to avoid being up under someone else's control, do you think that they would have had slaves under their control before leaving? And if so, would they have brought them slaves with them?
It's possible. It's possible. Whether you call them slaves, employees, whatever you want to call them, apprentices, whatever you want to call them.
Okay. So in reality, then it wouldn't be no such thing as no black European. These are Aboriginals who lived in Europe.
Are you saying American Aboriginals who lived in Europe? You saying American Aboriginals that lived in Europe? So the reason why I do my own independent evaluation on the historical record, because I don't trust the historical record by any means. I know a lot of you niggas that are advanced, studied, or what have you, but nigga, I don't believe that bullshit. Sorry.
Well, I'm not trying to convince you with historical literature. I'm trying to convince you with actual reality that you can see and observe based off of normal circumstances. Like if I say that I know for a fact, Smoke, that your mother and your 100th grandmother came through a woman to come to this planet. Like they was giving birth to another woman. You understand me? I don't really got to show you. Like, you know, that's to be the facts, right?
Right, because it's a logical standpoint. You can't argue that logic, especially that amount of logic.
Well, when you get into some logic, science will try to argue that, right? They'll say at some point in time, that process didn't happen, right?
I mean, I can understand them posing an argument, but until they can show another process by which,
right.
Wow, okay then. You have to go with the most logical. You would have to go with the most logical one so you can present one with more logic. Go ahead.
Right, and I'm with you on that. I'm 1,000% with you. So, and that's the way I kind of look at this history, right? Yeah, we use literature for those that want literature reference. But when you look and examine history, you can kind of see the parts that the literature don't fill in, those blanks that they can't fill in. So that's what me and Smoke is doing right now. We're doing critical analyzation of history. Okay. So Smoke, let's get back to these nuances in this walk down to these Aboriginals, right? No, you asked me a question earlier before I stepped away when I said that these people that's returning are so-called Aboriginals, right? From America. Well,
Yeah,
you said
okay, yeah,
you saying you don't know, but they got to at least have ties to the Americas. So let's just work right there for a second. What is the likelihood of them being descendants of the people here and returning back to their home?
I'm under the impression that somehow, whether those original cultivators, like y'all say, colonizers, I don't see no need. I just don't see the need for Americans having to colonize places that were less efficient than the places they come from, right? Like if I'm going from
Yeah, I don't really say colonize though. Smoke. I like to say just setting up shop, man. You know what I'm saying? It's like if you go get some land and you go build there, you're not colonizing your neighborhood.
Right.
You
I'm going to a place. I'm going to a place that's less sufficient than where I'm coming from, and all I'm trying to do is bring this motherfucking place up to a standard by which I'm accustomed to. That's all I'm over here doing, right? That's all I'm over here doing.
Okay, so we agreed that these people are possibly descendants of Aboriginals here.
Right.
So would that mean that those stories of Black Europeans coming here are not, in fact, Black Europeans?
Now, this world, I gotta be fair. Because I don't know if I can say Europe was somewhere niggas went that was totally isolated and uninhabited. That's what I don't know. I can't say that logically. Because that would make everybody in Europe basically American.
No. I'm not saying that. I'm saying the people that return, right?
Yeah, now the ones that return because of this discrepancy, I would definitely say they had ties to America. I would even say blood ties.
The history, I'm just saying, the history said these are Black Europeans. We're saying that these are American descendants now coming back to their homeland. If that's the case, that means there's no Black Europeans coming here. That means that doesn't exist. There's no Black Europeans coming here.
No, see, I'm not saying that. I'm saying it might have been Black Europeans, but they wouldn't have been Americans. They just would have been Europeans. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
And the ones that was returning, was the ones that came from here.
Now, this is where maybe I'm confused. That what make you think that it is Black Europeans?
What makes me think it was Black Europeans because they always reverencing the darkness of their origins, Black plagues, the Dark Ages, right? Code talk that lets me know that they really can't identify their most remote past to some white shit. They gotta undermine the white shit to honor their most remote past, right? But it's code languages, Black this and dark that. You feel me?
Right. I'm saying that the original people of that place of that we call Europe of melanated came from somewhere else. There is no original people of that land.
So you saying that niggas went to Europe initially, it was uninhabited then. They didn't encounter any additional groups.
For instance, like New Centelese Island. You ever heard of that place?
Yeah.
Those people there are not the original peoples of that land. They migrated there.
You talking about them crazy niggas that won't let nobody on their island, right? That's what you talking about.
Yeah, them crazy niggas scared.
So you saying at one time they migrated to that island. It was totally void of people, and they just settled there. Know what you saying?
Yeah. Or you can explain to me how those people would have popped up independently on that island.
Okay, so this what I'm saying also. I'm also saying this, that if Europe was uninhabited when niggas got there, right? I'm saying that once they begin to cultivate those areas and getting it up to standard, that other people from around that region would have came.
Okay, so you're saying that it's a mixture, that it's a possibility of Americans would have mixed with other outsiders?
Right, but they still would have been some Negroes though.
Okay, let's look at it. So if it's the outsiders, we gotta suspect that these are probably hunter and gatherers since they didn't take the time to build up the area themselves. Correct?
Right, because now, see, we got to do some chronological shit. Because
Yeah.
when will we say that niggas first
First,
went to Europe and began to cultivate? Is we gonna push this shit all the way back to that Algonquin shit?
I want to. I might even want to push it back. Maybe
I think that'll be,
before.
but I'm saying I think that'll be the best case scenario.
I mean, yeah, I would want to. That's where I would want to go with it. Just to give some reference point. And it'll give some type of credence of why people will even leave their luxurious homeland anyways. Because now we would need a motive of why people will leave in mass to go set up somewhere else anyways. You see what I'm saying? In reality, people just don't leave. You're not going to find a million Black Americans going nowhere for no reason.
Okay, so that will give credence. That'll give credence to some type of catastrophe or calamity or event that will cause people to stretch out. That will cause people to stretch out just in case they needed somewhere else to go.
Let's throw 3 different scenarios and we can deal with probability of why people will leave, okay?
All right, let's get it.
Famine, meaning not enough food. Invasion of war of some sort, which will force people to move, or some cataclysm, mostly like a natural disaster of some sort.
Okay, so, yeah, those are workable hypothesis.
So you got to pick one that will be the most plausible, and that's the one we're gonna rock with. I'm gonna let you pick it though.
I'm going with catastrophe.
Okay.
Like you said, some type of I can't say, I don't know, but if some catastrophe happened that would lead to famine, famine. If a storm came through, like they talking about the ice age or whatever, which I hardly don't agree with, but something like that, or a flood or what have you, which will cause you to be short in your supplies that you was depending on, and you have to stretch out to seek other venues where you can begin to seed, right? Where you begin to seed and let's off.
Okay. I feel like if we take those 3, I feel comfortable enough with saying that famine would be the least likely reason that we would have left.
Okay, so if we knock out famine, they're gonna leave us with war,
invasion, or cataclysm, natural disaster. I'm gonna say the second less likely thing for us to do is to be invaded that ran us out.
So you're going with the cataclysm. You're saying cataclysm is the most likely reason why?
Yes, and I'm gonna use an up-to-date scenario in a microwave or in a microform. We had the disaster happen in the early 2000s with the Katrina victims, right? Smoke, you with me? With the Katrina hurricane victims in New Orleans. That disaster hit and it displaced people, whether they wanted to go or not. They was displaced in various different places. So the motive of why they left was because of the cataclysm to leave their homeland.
My bad. Somebody hit the door.
Now you good? Shit. I don't know if you heard me though. Did you hear what I said? Yeah, he might have stepped away again. But yeah, man, I think that's what it will be, man. I think it will be most likely a cataclysm. So let's walk this shit down. We here with Smoke, man. We in the building with the professor, man. Hit that like button.
Okay, so now let's pinpoint it then. Okay, a cataclysm.
I gave you a scenario with the Katrina
I can rock with a cataclysm. Are we saying that a cataclysm occurred that compelled niggas to go out, or was a cataclysm coming and niggas was trying to avoid it? Which one?
Okay. See, now we're getting into the particulars, right? So I brought up the New Orleans hurricane scenario as a simple close resemblance, but in a micro form, right? The New Orleans cataclysm happened in New Orleans, and it forced these people to be displaced. And to answer your question as well, they also foreseen it. Some people just weren't able, didn't have the means, the funds, or the whereabouts to go nowhere else. You see what I'm saying?
I got you.
So now let's walk it down some more, Spot. Where we at? So we got a motive of why people would have left, right? So now we explaining that these people went over there. So now we got to break down why I believe that nobody was there when we got there. That there's no Aboriginal people.
But hell, especially down, somebody said Lloyd, but look down there in New Orleans, the Neville brothers, Aaron Neville and all those are black Native Americans, guys. The Neville brothers, all of those dudes